Hey guys, we're live for our 5th episode of Keeping It Real Masterminds, and we have special guest Ben Kinney joining us tonight, and he's going to share a lot of great information. I can't wait. For those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Jeff Manson, a Hawaii real estate broker, and also founder of Real Geeks. And my partner in these Keeping It Real Masterminds is Frank Klesitz, and he's the CEO of Viral Marketing, and he helps real estate agents market to their database and get more referrals and repeat business, okay? And we keep getting asked, like, how do I make sure I can get notified or about these events because they don't want to miss them? So you can follow us on Real Geeks Google Plus page. So you can go to the Real Geeks Google Plus page and follow us, and then we'll add to you, and you'll get an invite. But sometimes Google Plus is a little buggy, so sometimes it doesn't always allow us to invite everyone in our circles. So I'd also suggest going to keepingitreal.com, and on the right side there's an opt-in form. All you got to do is put your first name and email, right, Frank?
Mm-hmm. Just put your first name and email in, Keeping It Real, get updates, and there's no spam or anything like that. It just every 2 weeks when we do these, you'll get notified right away.
Right, and they're purely educational. They're not a commercial. They're purely educational. Frank and I decided to give back. I've been in the business for 21 years, and I would not have been able to do what I've done if I didn't mastermind and role play and stuff like that with great agents like Ben, and I'm sure the same with Ben. You know, he went to seminars and stuff like that, learned and mastermind, and look what he's done. So I'm going to introduce Ben right now. He's been in the real estate business for almost 10 years. He runs one of the top real estate teams in the nation. They're on track to sell 600 homes this year. Yes, 600 homes with his team. He owns 7 KW offices with 800 plus agents. He's a real estate trainer as well. He's an author and a lot of other things. He's co-founder of Brivity, and what Brivity is a real estate transaction management system, and I'm sure his team probably uses that in their day-to-day, so maybe that'll come up. And he's also working on a real estate search portal, Blosser. I'm not sure if I pronounced that. Blosser, I don't know. But I don't know a whole lot about that. He's going to clue me in at a later date. But anyway, Ben Kinney, I really respect him because he's a hard-working entrepreneur. And he just gets it. He works hard, and he's doing a lot of things, and he's a really busy guy. And we really appreciate him taking the time to get on here and share with us and all of you. And he's going to go over how he built his team, and he only works 4 to 5 hours a week on his team now. So he put in all the work up front, he's built it up, and now he's only working 4 to 5 hours a week within the team, and he's doing all his other things. He's going to go down the team breakdown, how it's structured, buyers agents, listing agents, telemarketing, admin people, what they do, how he generates leads and listings, probably how they follow up, and what to do and what not to do when building a team. So we got a lot of questions, and we want to hit them hard. And then we want to leave enough time for Q&A. So I'm going to let Frank go ahead and start asking the questions and introduce Ben live.
Cool. Well, Jeff, great job, man. And everyone, thanks so much for attending. We got some really great questions here we prepared for Ben. And I just want to let everyone know is that if you have any questions, we have the Q&A app here. If you just go ahead and use the Q&A app, ask a question, it'll show up here on the right-hand side, I believe. And you can go ahead and we'll get to that when it's appropriate to get that answered for you guys. So I want to let you know that one of the benefits of doing this live is you can ask questions. So get a good question, we'll get it in the queue, and we'll get it answered here for you. We'll probably spend at least the last 15, 20 minutes, I would think, Jeff, answering just questions. So Ben, why don't you start off by telling us just the benefits of having a team in the first place? So
Sure.
Why even build a team? What does that do for somebody?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on the show, number one. This industry is so small. It just seems like such a small place because you end up knowing everybody that's involved in the real estate, and if you care about your business or your masterminding or technology, then we end up running into all you guys. So thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Real estate teams are important to me because I had a job, and 10 years ago I was a cable guy, and I was a cable guy for 8+ years, and every couple of years they'd lay me off or they'd change my compensation, and then they hired me back. And what we learned was I had no control over my destiny. I had no control over how much money I could spend or what sort of lifestyle I'd have. So what I decided to do was go find a business and I saw real estate. I didn't think of real estate as a business. I thought of it as a job because everybody around me was treating it like a job, which means they work every night. They work every weekend. Their kids don't know them. Their dog hates them. Just all that sort of stuff. I was lucky enough to get Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and I read it and I said, hey, this guy Gary went out and interviewed thousands of agents from all different companies, and he found the ones that wanted to treat it like a business. So I got into thinking about a team, my first year in real estate, because I wanted a business, not a job. I wanted to go surfing with my buddy Jeff in Hawaii.
Come on out, baby.
and not worry about it. And over the years, we screwed up enough times that after 10 years now, we just started in our 10th year, we think we have it figured out. I could come surf with Jeff and I'd still sell homes and I'd still have a life worth living. And the people that work on my team have incomes that they can never have and lifestyles they can never have. It's good for all parties, not just the guy that runs the team, but for everybody involved.
Great.
Awesome. Yeah, I would agree.
So maybe let's start off with the first steps. Let's start off, what the very first hire is and go all the way up through the process of where you're at today with your team. I think that'd be kind of a good story to tell.
Yeah.
So if someone starts off, where do you start? What's your first hire? And then can you tell us kind of the progression to where you're at and tell us that story?
I think there's amazing agents in the industry, and some of them are amazing on their own. They can do 50, 75, 100 deals on their own. I'm not that bright, and I'm not that good. I was able to do 25 transactions on my own, and I had a low-quality life. I was working a lot. Dog forgot about me. Relationships were falling apart. Real estate makes you fat. It just everything was bad in general. So I made a decision to focus on what I enjoyed. So after about a year in the business, I hired my first assistant, Jolene, who, by the way, is in the background there. And wave hi, Jolene. Yeah, she's been with me for 8-9 years now. And what happened with Jolene is she freed me up to do the things that actually make money, the listing appointments, the showing buyers, the negotiating contracts, and she took on everything else. What we did is I went to Jolene and said, hey, I want to hire an admin, and she said, would you consider working with me? And I said, I'd be an idiot not to. I said, here's the problem, though, is I have 3 months of money set aside enough to pay you. So after 3 months, if we're not making more money, we can't work together. So she said, well, great, for the first 3 months, you can only do things that make money then. And I said, well, great, for the first 3 months, you can't collate, organize, put stickers on stuff, like we're going to generate some leads. So that's what we did. And with Jolene, we were able to get from 25 deals in 1 year to 84. And that was our first step, having the admin take over those parts of our life so that I could focus on the money-making activities, picking up the phone, getting belly to belly, and showing deals.
Hey, I got a quick question, Ben. So for those agents that are just starting out or may not have 3 months worth of money saved up to pay someone, do you have any other creative ideas that would that they could do to get somebody?
So you can do one of 3 things, and I'll say the third one's my favorite. But the first one is go get free interns at the college or high school around, and we always have free interns working for us. They don't cost anything. Second one would get a part-time assistant or get a virtual assistant. The guys at my outdesk, they have a good system there, or just get somebody that wants to work 10 or 20 hours. Or third, if you can't afford an assistant, you probably don't deserve one. You need to take a step back, get off your butt, and go out and do the things that it takes to be successful in real estate. And I think if you can consistently close 24 to 36 deals a year, or you're consistently closing 2 to 3 a month, you've earned the right to have an assistant. Unless your expenses are way out of whack, you can afford one.
Right. All right. And one thing that I did when I was new, I was doing all those things. I was prospecting, and I knew, though, real quick, it was back in '93 when there was a lot of short sales, and I knew that I couldn't prospect and do all the things it was generating. So I was doing the things and generating that. So what I did is I went and found an escrow rep and asked them if they would work for a percentage, and showed them and said, hey, I got all these escrows. I've got, but I'm getting bogged down. I can't keep getting these. Would you work for, I think it was 20 or 25%. I was at a Remax, so I was paying a desk fee. Would you work for this percentage? And you make me more productive, you're going to make more money, and that's how I started. So that's just another idea.
That's smart. That's smart. Yeah, there's lots of ways to leverage everybody else around you, or just pick up a transaction coordinator. For $150 or $300 a deal. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So what's next? You hired your key assistant. You got to what? You said 100 deals? No.
84.
84. So 84 now. Now tell me your life now. What was the next step?
Well, same thing. I was poor quality of life. I wasn't enjoying things. I was working too much because you can only show, 4 to 8 buyers in a month, and you can deal with a bunch of listings. And I started getting listings, picking up the phone, calling canceled expires, FSBO, Sphere, neighbors, that sort of stuff. And what happens? I was just letting buyers fall through the cracks. I probably lost more money on buyer deals that I'd never followed up with than I ever made when I was an individual agent. They went on napkins. I just didn't get back to them. So what I decided to give up based on masterminding with people was buyers first, because I can handle 50 to 100 listings on my own and just let the buyers agents go show. So we started hiring buyers agents, and I focused on listings. And that year I went on 240 listing appointments, and I listed 217 of those properties. And with our business and our buyers agents add-on, we closed 143 transactions that year.
And hey, Ben, on those buyers agents that you brought on, did you what was their structure as far as pay when you brought them on? Were you paying them as showing agents or giving them a percentage, or how did that break down?
I'd never even heard about showing agents until a couple of years ago. It just wasn't popular or known around us. So I followed the model that I had read in the book, and it said give them 50%. So that's what I gave them. I mean, the mistake that I made in the beginning was I said, hey, it's 50% on any deal that I give you, but if you work your Sphere, open houses, that sort of stuff, you get paid a different split. What happened is whenever they're busy on that stuff, they ignored my stuff. So I had to switch that, so it's a straight 50-50. Well, that next year, I had this aha. I'm like, I got paid all this money from agents that were out showing the leads that I could generate for them, and I didn't have to be there. And I thought that was the greatest idea that I've ever seen in my life. So what I did is I went out and I ran around the office, and I found all the agents that weren't busy, all the sucky agents, and I said, you should be on my team. You should come join me. So I gathered a whole bunch of sucky agents and everybody that had a pulse, and I put them on my team. And the whole next year, what happened is I spent all my time with those agents, and we sold 153 homes, twice the size of the team, and we only increased our sales by 10.
What do you mean spending all your time? Coaching them and developing them?
Teaching them how to do whatever. Wipe their butt, fill out a contract, just, show a buyer, get a listing, all that sort of stuff. So I was spending my time with them instead of spending my time getting listings and doing my bread and butter. So my income went down dramatically that year because I was giving up 50% and having a whole bunch of agents doing a little bit. And I ended up with a team that I would like to call, it was just a mediocre team, and they were sucking the energy and the life out of me. So to get to that next level, I had to remove all the people that weren't motivated, that didn't want to follow the basic rules of our team, that weren't happy, people that wanted to contribute and just be an amazing part of our lives. And when you did that, the stress was relieved, and I was happier, and the business started to grow almost immediately.
That's great. So you brought it down to how many agents then?
Just a couple. To be honest, I don't even know, but there was just a couple. But what it was a bunch of agents that wanted to make a lot of money, that wanted to be a positive part of my life. And what I figured out was you don't need to go out there and focus on making a whole bunch of people a medium income. You need to find a couple of people that want to be rich and at the same time want to be loyal, and focus on making their life great.
So what was the next step after you took over all the buy side was systematized?
Well, it was adding a listing agent and some additional lead gen support, and with that we got to 278 transactions the next year. So from kind of a bust from 143 to 153, I consider that breaking even pretty much, and then we went to 278, and that was huge. And the momentum that we did that year carried us to the next year of 523 closings in one of the toughest markets we've seen in Washington State. And we had a solid team. And the issue that we had then was that some of the business was REO and some of it was short sales, and the canceled expires were plentiful, but they weren't selling, and there's always these issues. And I knew that year was going to be a good year, but next year wasn't going to be good because I saw the market changing. So the next year we dropped down to 489, and we had to make changes in our business again. Take our most productive agents and hire them showing agents, get better lead generators to set appointments for us, and hire higher quality people, and focus our lead gen in other areas so that we could do what we did last year, was 585 closings.
Do you want to go a little deeper on specifically the lead gen support and how you broke that differently from maybe what the listing agents were doing?
Yeah, so if we go back in time, what it was is we would take a whole bunch of leads and give them to the agents. And I don't know if you guys have ever like had a wheelbarrow you're trying to push across the yard, and what you want to do is you want to reduce the trips from 10 down to 2. So you piled everything up in the wheelbarrow and it ends up like this, and you get like 10 feet and then it dumps over and you spill it and you got to clean up all the junk. Well, the same thing happens with agents when you give them too many leads. So what we had to do to get more production was reduce the amount of leads we give agents. So we try to average 25 to 30 leads a month per agent on the team now. And then we add on appointments. So we set appointments for them. And, of course, we change the compensation model on that. We take 65 and they get 35. But those are kind of come show me or come list me stuff.
So Ben, sorry about that. So, Ben, you have an appointment center for these people and prospecting for them, and then you give them the leads, or you're just giving them leads from internet, or how's that work? And also the listing agent, are they prospecting themselves, the expireds?
Okay, good questions. I think that you and I were like twin brothers growing up the last couple of years, Jeff. I did the same kind of thing. I figured out how to generate some leads from the internet. I wasn't as smart as you and to go out and build the product myself and sell it to other people. I just figured out how to get traffic. And we were getting it from Craigslist and pay-per-click and search engine stuff, and we just figured out how to do that. And we give some leads directly to the agents, and we give some to the telemarketers. But now pretty much what we do is we give every lead to the agents, and then when they don't follow up with them, we take them back and give them to the inside salespeople. So they call all old leads and set appointments all day from them. It's hilarious that how many diamonds were in our own backyard that we weren't letting get harvested.
Okay, so you have an inside person doing that, and then what about the listing agent? Are they how are they prospecting, or are they doing expireds, FSBOs? Are they personally doing it, or do you have an inside salesperson doing that?
We've done both, but right now we're so busy taking listings. He follows up with all of our farming leads, our radio leads, the referrals that we get, the agent referrals, and we have a telemarketer that calls canceled expireds. Prospects for just neighborhoods and just sets cold appointments from neighborhoods and then sends them out on the appointments.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
That sounds like probably a huge part of the team, like a very key pillar is your telemarketing department. I mean, you mentioned before there are 4 kind of pillars of the way your team is organized. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, we definitely have a buyer division where the agents primarily focus on buyer leads, mostly coming from the internet, sign calls, that sort of stuff. And we all dump them into a central CRM, and they all work those. Our buyers agents are allowed to take listings. If they get their listings from their sphere, from their own prospecting, they can take their own listings. We just think that's a cool way to get people well-rounded and feel better in the community. And then we have a listing team, which is primarily listing agents that just go and list, and they do 80-90% of their business is listings. And then they have support staff that do client care things and direct mail marketing for them. So those are our 2 sales organizations. We have our administration team, which is in charge of the listing management, the pending management. And to kind of put it in perspective, is we have one listing agent, one listing admin that will manage 600 to 1,000 listings in a year, just one. And then we have one pending person that will do 800 to 1,000 pendings in a year, and we just have 2. And the only additional one we have is a part-time intern that we got that helps them out. So with 2 admin, we run a massive business. We're very light on admin because it's a fixed cost, and we want to have a high-margin business.
So let me ask you a little bit more, expand on that. So you have one admin running all the escrows, doing all the escrow coordination and all that. Do you use some of these title companies or virtual assistants that do that, that offer that, or is it all in-house?
It's all in-house, except for we have one virtual assistant that does backup paperwork overflow or creating listing paperwork or Craigslist post, that sort of stuff. But that's all we have.
So you have one person handling all those escrows and communicating with all your clients, and they're able to do a great job. Yeah,
and you know why? Is if you're a fan of John Maxwell says that systems make the ordinary extraordinary. If you have a good admin or a great admin and you apply a system and a process, they'll be more efficient than 10 admins. And that's what you got to do, is provide that system, and you'll have an extraordinary admin team.
All right, and so that system, are they using your software, Brevity, for that?
Yeah, they use Brevity to manage all those things.
Is there any other software that you guys are using besides that, or is it just that?
We used to use the cream of the crap, which was like Top Producer. But that was too convoluted and too complicated. And then we went to paper systems and Google Docs. but it still required multiple logins, so we were able to replace it with our software. The other piece of our team is lead gen, so that would be the inside sales, the telemarketers, that sort of stuff. And that's the part that we want to grow, because our next step, how we get to 1,000 closings, is take our team and put it in the next city, take our team and put it in the next county, and keep expanding across Washington. And that's how we're going to get to be doing 1,000, 2,000 deals a year. But I want to centralize all the admin and all of the lead generation in Bellingham, where I live, and just have sales forces out in those other areas.
I got another real quick question. Sorry about that, Frank. I'm kind of jumping in here.
No.
He's getting a lot of things going in my head. So, you know, you're big on your lead generation and all that. Are you using some sort of drip email besides, you know, besides like if they're signed up on a website, they're getting new listings and price changes and that stuff. But for, let's say, the sellers or even buyers, do you put them into an additional mail drip campaign or something like that? You mentioned Top Producer. Are you using Top Producer for that, or how do you handle that?
No, so we got rid of it. You know, we had 15 TP accounts for $37.99 each or something, so we got rid of that. We wanted to save money. We don't do a lot of direct mail. We kind of use manpower to win, or female power. Some of our top agents are females, and what we do is I created this process called the 10 days of pain, and the 10 days of pain was, how do you convert leads in 10 days? And it wasn't meant to be anything other than, how do I help clients when they need to be helped? See, NAR said that on average people looked for 2 weeks before they pick an agent, and I wanted my agents to be the one that they could choose, and we didn't know if we got those people on day 1 or day 10. So we aggressively follow up with them, and the best way we convert them is we don't just email them. We text them, we call them, we Facebook them, we send them a LinkedIn message, we tweet them. Heck, we'll peek through their window if we could get an address. And we just want to help these people make the biggest and best decision of their life, which is, you know, own the right home or sell their home for the most amount of money in the least amount of time.
That's funny you bring up the pain, the 10 days of pain. I got involved in a conversation on a blog the other day, and the guy's point was like, why do all the top producers have to create so much pain and following up? And I'm thinking, and I'm like, what are you talking about, pain? And, you know, by cold calling. And I said, well, most of the top agents don't just cold call. They're actually calling expired listings for sell by owners, their center of influence and stuff like that. And I don't really consider that cold calling, because they've or leads off their website. I said, it's really not a cold call. It's somebody that's expressed interest in either buying or selling, the agent's following up. And then he came back and I said, you know, and I said, mostly the expireds, they expire because the original agent didn't tell them the truth when they took the listing on the price. And that is more painful than some other agent that's probably calling now and offering their services. And he came back and said, like, well, it's painful for the person getting this call. And I said, well, it's not painful for the expired listing that their home didn't get sold, and now they got a quality agent they can now interview, or the first sell by owner that is way over their head, and now they got a professional that can help them, or somebody signed up on a website that just really needs some help. So it's not painful for them. I think it's painful for the consumer when the agent doesn't know how to communicate. And I know you're big on communication, and you study the art of communication. So I think it's, you know, most telemarketers just don't know how to communicate, so they do make it painful for the other one. What are your thoughts on that? I'm sorry, I kind of got off, but that you sparked that 10 days of pain. I remember that conversation.
Well, here's the deal, is that agents can say that the way that we do business is good or do bad. They want to have a mediocre business, which means they're going to provide mediocre income to their family. They're going to be able to send their kid to a mediocre college. They're going to have a mediocre house. They're going to take mediocre vacations. They're not going to be safe in case the economy goes down. They're going to do all these things that causes harm. That's fine. But what I found is that my sphere, the people that call me, will generate me X amount of business, and that doesn't hit my goals or my fiduciary duties to my family. So I have to add those extra things, cold calls, internet lead gen, to hit the financial goals that me and my team and my family and my dreams require. And I'm not just going to sit back and point my finger and say, hey, you know, nobody called me, so I'm unsuccessful. I'm just going to grab that bull by the horns, and I'm going to make my own success. And one of the ways we do that, as you pointed out, is learning how to communicate in such a way that you don't offend people. Like, for instance, you want to call your sphere. A lot of agents, they don't like calling their sphere. because they feel like they're inconveniencing them. When I feel like I do them, I'm taking a $100 bill and I'm handing it to my sphere and saying, here, take this. Because every communication that I do, I try to deliver value. So we'll say things like, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking today about taking a vacation. I was going to see my buddy Jeff in Hawaii, and I thought I'd first call through all my friends and my clients and see what their real estate related plans were for the rest of the year, so that I didn't book my little trip right in the middle when you guys wanted to get stuff done, because I'm here for you guys as well. What are you thinking about doing this year? Or what are your friends thinking about doing? That's not an uncomfortable call.
No.
Right? And I want to go to Hawaii and hang out with you. So this is serious. So I try to make the conversations real and sincere. And
Right.
when you do that and you want to help, there's nothing wrong with trying to help somebody.
Yeah, and I agree. And in that, when I responded back to him, I said, if you really truly believe that you give great service and you're one of the best agents in your marketplace, and you know the market better than anyone else, and you got a team or you have processes set up to deliver top-notch, top-quality, first-class service, you owe it to that expired listing, or you owe it to that for sale by owner to be calling them. Otherwise, they're going to get stuck with something that's not as good. So you got to take a different mindset, I think. What don't you think?
Yeah, I wake up a little bit. Every morning I wake up just a little bit ticked off, and I drive up the street and I see that there's one of my competitors put the sign in the yard. I'm just thinking to myself, man, that person would be in so much better hands with me. I would take such good care of them. I would sell their home for the most amount of money. I market it everywhere. I communicate better than anyone. And it just burns me up inside. And I use that fury to drive me to make sure that I'm talking to as many people as possible so they don't make the mistake of hiring my competitor who may not care as much as me.
Awesome. Yeah, it's just a different mindset, because if you really truly do believe you're the best, you're going to make those phone calls because you want to help them out.
And if you don't think that, why would you bother your friends and family and your neighbors if you're not the best? Right?
Yeah,
so you got to have that attitude.
And my next point was, like, if you don't feel comfortable calling and talking about how great your services are and you offer good service, how strong are you going to be possibly defending them on a price and negotiating if you can't even call somebody and tell them what you offer, right?
Yeah, my coach says that comfortable people have average lives. And if you want to have an above average life, you got to spend more of your time being uncomfortable. And just think about that. Every time you're feeling comfortable in what you do or what your actions or how your day was, you're not creating an above average life.
Awesome. Hey, I got another question. What kind of training do you give your agents on your team? Buyer's agent, listing agents, that kind of stuff. And do they use scripts, and do they role play?
Good question. So we have a couple of rules on the team, but the most important one above everything else is that script starts at 8:30 in the morning, and it's mandatory Monday through Friday. And if you want leads, you show up. If you don't show up that day, you don't get leads that day. You don't show up a couple days, I just turn off your system. Because I don't want you practicing your scripts on my clients. I want you saying the right thing. We have this belief that there are three things that make agents successful. Number one, say the right thing. Number two, say it enough times. So the first one's a script issue. The second one is, are you going to get off your tush and actually make the calls or get in front of people today? And the third one's have enough people to say it to. You don't have to worry about that on my team because I provide enough leads for them to work and enough systems for them to follow up with open houses and door knocks and circle prospecting,
Right.
etc. So those are the things that we focus on our team. What I did learn, though, was you don't have to be there every day to do it. So when I have a good script, I write it down, I print it out, and that's what they practice. My listing presentation, I just put a camera in front of myself and I recorded myself doing it, and they watch the video until they know it, and then they come to me and demo it. So it's not about me doing it all the time. It's about me creating the system and giving them access to it.
So you're training them and helping them on what to say with the scripts, and then you have them role-playing with each other, going over objections and stuff like that.
Every day.
Every day. I agree. Every agent should do that. Some people are like, oh, I would never do a script. A script is really not a script. It's you asking the right questions so you can actually listen and focus on the consumer, right, Ben?
How can you say the least amount of things and get the highest result? I'd rather spend my time with the people that I love than to spend a bunch of time dealing with somebody that's unmotivated, won't reduce their price, or calling people that aren't going to work with me. So if I can say the right things, I'm going to provide a great life, and I'm going to be more successful and more efficient at business.
Are there any scripts you recommend where someone can get, Ryan asks, where someone can get the scripts that you'd recommend for your agents?
Well, I write a lot of my own, but I don't really believe a lot of them are my own. I probably stole them from everybody you can think of, the Mike Ferries, the Tom Ferries, the Diana Kokoskas, the Gary Kellers, just all these Brian Buffinis, all these people out there, and I just made them feel like my own. But, we post a lot of our scripts free online on YouTube, and you guys are welcome to, you can rip off me, I don't care.
Maybe you want to share, I think it'd be interesting to hear maybe your approach to compensation for each of the positions.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much what it is, but at least your approach of how you come up with it.
Sure. Well, first of all, I try to follow the models on what other agents have found successful. So when we started, we followed the buyer's agents get 50% model. And then what we did was we came up with, on our listing team, how many listings do you think we'd close, and where do I want his income to be so that nobody could hire him away and he would never leave me. So we came up with a salary, a small amount that makes me able to control where he's at every day and come in on time and do certain things. And then I give him a bonus on every closing. And it's a small fraction of the commission, but he has a great life and a great commission. See, I'd rather have a small percentage of a whole lot of things than a big commission on a few things. So when I talk to agents, what I say is that poor people think about percentages, and rich people think about what's the outcome at the end of the year. What's my net income? Poor people think about gross. Rich people think about net. And real estate agents are going to have to get over that, because I have shown agents on my team working at 15% of the transaction that'll make more than, I don't know, 90% of the agents in the nation.
I would agree on the net 100%. You get some agents going out there spouting like, I make $1 million a year. But when you look at their net, they only netted $100,000. Why would you go through all that hassle and spend all that money and do whatever you're doing for $100,000 if you're generating $1 million?
I agree. It makes no sense. See, that's because egos are talking about gross. Yeah. Right? And we're not. We're business people.
What about the listing side, Ben? The prospectors and listing agents.
Prospectors are on the same salary as a listing agent, let's say a couple thousand a month, and they get between 5 and 10% of the transaction. And the way that we cover that is when buyer's agents get 50% of the transaction for converting a lead or bringing a lead to the table themselves, they get 35% when I provide the appointment. So that extra 15% gives me enough money to pay the salaries of those lead generators and give them bonuses to hit their goals. And usually I average making an extra 5 or 6%. So I get 56% on an appointment lead as compared to 50% on another one.
So Ben, what's the average income that a listing agent or a buyer's agent on your team would make at the end of the year? Net pay to them.
I would say our top agents right now are going to make $250,000 net, and our average agents are going to make between 50 and 150. And the new ones are at 50, and the experienced ones are getting 100. We have first-year people that make $100,000, but the difference is that's net. That's after brokerage splits. They have no expenses. I cover all that thing. They don't have to do admin work. Our admin does it for them, and all they got to do is go enjoy their life, show some clients, or list some homes.
So in other words, they're making that income, and they got a life too. It's not you're not the only one with a life. Your team members have a life too. They have somebody handling the transaction. They're not dealing with that stuff on Sunday at 8 o'clock at night and garbage like that.
Yeah, I have 3 members of my team right now that I predict in the next 3 years will make closer to $1 million a year because of the showing agents that they've acquired on my team and the support that I'm giving them. They will make more than, I don't know, 99.9% of any agent in the nation, and they still work on my team. And I'm so proud of that. One of my lifetime goals is to help 10 people become millionaires. And I want that to come from my admin, I want that to come from my offices, and I want that to come from people on my team. I want to make those people have a huge life.
She's behind you pointing at her head. Now she's smiling.
Was she smiling back there? Yeah.
Awesome.
Where do you find your talent, Ben? What are your recruiting systems?
We find talent because we're always looking. Whether I'm getting my shoes shined or getting an espresso, or I'm at a restaurant, or I'm doing talking to an agent on the other side of the deal, or we're calling for show and feedback, or I'm talking to a customer. When customers come into our office, we give them a disc test, just for fun while we're making copies, and I look at the disc and see if they're a match. So we're always looking. We use software like ZipRecruiter to post ads nonstop to have people coming in and interviewing for us. The secret is you always got to be looking, because you always have the people that quit or don't work out. You have the people that retire, get sick, get hurt, right? And you have the people that become rock stars. And you may need to hire 10 to get 2 rock stars. So I got to make sure that I have enough.
You're generating leads. You're generating salesperson leads all the time on ZipRecruiter.
Well, for sure, and everything else we do. So you said in the ad that I work 4 to 5 hours a week on my team, and people have a hard time believing that. You know, I run offices and I have our software companies and I teach and do all that stuff. So I fill the rest of my work week. I'm a hard worker, so I fill it with other stuff. But now my team needs some accountability, some high fives, some hugs, and I spend the rest of my time prospecting for talent. That's who we need to. That's how I need to focus my life, is hiring people. Because every hire is worth way more than any deal I could get.
Are they coming from existing agents, let's say, or are they coming from someone outside of the real estate industry that comes in?
Oh, for sure. A lot of our agents have a lot of experience. They were successful in where they're at, but they were burned out on on hiring admin, or they're burned out on all the expenses they had to carry, and they just wanted a simpler life. And they actually make more money now with me than they did on their own. And I have agents on my team that have sold over 400 homes in a year by themselves, and now
So
they work with us.
what's the Rainmaker profile? So let's say you have all these leads coming in from ZipRecruiter, and you disc them or you AVA them. What's the Rainmaker profile? The profile you're looking for a say a listing agent?
So in the test that we give, the one that's accessible to everybody in the industry is the DISC test. And a DISC test is divided up between a D, I, S, and a C. A D is a driver. They're in a hurry. They got to get somewhere, and they don't even know where they're going, but they got to get there, gosh darn it. An I is they care about people, and they're about doing success through people and with people. They're going to be the ones that might talk more than others. The S's are about safety, security, stability. They don't want commission pays as much. They want to have stability, and they want to be liked, for sure. And the C's, they just want to be correct. They're the accountants. They care about following the rules and making things done right. So my favorite profile for a listing agent would be somebody that's a driver that can get things done. I don't like 2-hour, 3-hour listing appointments. I want somebody that gets in and gets out with enough charisma and personality that when they get hired, they're also going to get referrals and represent our brand right. So we want a DI or an ID.
Great. And I posted a link here on the showcase with a link to the Tony Robbins site. I believe you can get a free disc profile for yourself and send all your recruits there to take it as well.
Yeah, we use that as well.
Hey Ben, a little more on this. Do you find that salespeople from other industries that actually have a sales background tend to do a little bit better because they're used to prospecting and all that, instead of coming from the real estate and with bad habits?
Well, you don't want to go hire somebody that sucks at being a real estate agent now, and then you bring them on your team, and then all of a sudden you think they're going to be good. You just take somebody else's suck and surround yourself with the suck. You don't want to do that. So I want to find a brand new agent or a couple years in the business that's hitting a ceiling because he doesn't have systems or lead gen, or I want to find a really successful agent that doesn't want the overhead or the stress and just wants to do what they enjoy, or I want to go find somebody new that doesn't have those bad habits as you discussed.
All right, great, thanks.
What about the first 100 days, Ben? Let's talk more about managerial talent. And so we got the kind of the team organization together. Let's talk about some managerial systems you have in place to keep everything running without you there, like for your office manager, like weekly 411s, morning huddles, daily reports. Can you explain those to us?
So we're very big into accountability, and we believe that if we have to manage somebody on our team, they're fired. I need to hire people that can manage themselves and get results. They come to us for ideas, but most of the time they come to us with ideas, things that they want to implement or things that they think might be a solution to a problem. But we do 411s, we have weekly tracking sheets for accountability, and we have systems for everything. What I don't do is I don't go hire a new admin, put them in a role and say, hey, go figure it out. Well, that's what I do with Jolene, and she survived that, and that's just because she's that awesome. But what I want to do is I want to plug somebody into a system, hold them accountable to it, and they'll be successful. There's just no way for them not, unless they're the wrong person.
How do you hold someone accountable? Or in this case, you have an office manager, I would think, holding them accountable. Or is that still your job?
I don't want to talk about our software specific, but the tools that we use, it has a list of everything that person's done today. Anything that's overdue, anything they got to get done tomorrow, what property is assigned to, all that stuff. So it allows us to keep everybody organized, and it keeps our business transparent. We want to have transparency in our admin, and transparency in our leadership, and transparency in our incomes, and transparency in our communication to our clients.
And that would
so
be
everybody.
That
would be our tool, Brivity, that does that. I think there's probably other solutions that can figure that out too, Jeff. But
they're going to want to know what you're using, so that's why I brought it up. I know you're not here to promote it, but they're all going to want to know. And I'm going to get 100 emails or more. Hey, what was that software again?
Right.
So the software he's using, he's a co-founder, is Brivity.
Okay.
There you go. All right.
But, you know, like I said, systems make the ordinary extraordinary, and if you do that, you'll have an extraordinary staff. But it's going to require you to spend a few minutes to create systems for them to be successful.
Where could someone go to get a jump start in these systems? I would think, you know, the systems for transaction management or listings would be pretty standard on some levels of checklists already created or whatever it may be. Is that available to somebody?
Yeah, what's the R&D? I mean, you need to do some of your own R&D, and that's rip off and duplicate. So go find other agents in the industry that are successful in your own town, and just ask them, or go shadow them. I have people in my office every single week from somewhere in the U.S. or Canada coming down to see how we operate our team. And when I got started, that's what I did. I called and said, "Hey Jeff, can I come visit you? Hey Jeff, can I come visit you?" And after a while, Jeff finally said, "Fine, come visit me." And I went in there and I got to go see his stuff, and then I'd take a little piece away from it. And if I made it better, I'd always give it back to him. Or if I had something of value, I'd always give it to him as well.
We got a question here I just got from a good friend Hector that asked for you. How does the experienced agent join your team? What is the split like? And, you know, how do you handle the current deals that the agent is working on?
So what happens is that everybody on my team is in the same arrangement, the same split. You don't want to treat some people special and then screw your other people over. So everybody's on the same deal. So everybody works on a 50-50 if they're a standard agent and they don't take a salaried role. And if they have pending somewhere else, I don't really care. You know, I'm not trying to take money from people. So if they want to keep them there and close them at 100%, whatever. I'm about how much money can we make in the future, not how much can I get from them right away. So do what you want with your pendings. Come over and let's start thinking about making money together.
That's great.
Hey Ben, I got a quick question because you had mentioned lead generation and you're providing that, and Craigslist used to be a big lead generator, and I had somebody email me earlier in the week and said, "Hey, I really want to know what Ben's doing with the Craigslist since is he still generating business from Craigslist since they don't allow the link to the website?"
We used to generate 1,000 to 1,500 leads a month from Craigslist.
Sure.
It was our bread and butter. So, but now it's tough. We still post a ton of ads, and we're getting 10-20% of the leads that we used to get. So it's brutal for us. So we got to subsidize, and things change. Cancel expires went away because everything's selling. So you just got to change. So now what we're doing is, just to give you a plug, Jeff, and I know you don't like that, but we took the Real Geeks website, which came out, and we had basic features, and we added a page for every community in our state. So you go to my Real Geek site, BrioRealty.com, and then you click on Seattle, and there's every neighborhood there. You click on Bellingham, it's every neighborhood. So we have probably 500 to 1,000 separate pages, and it's because we want to build up SEO so that I don't always have to subsidize my lead gen with Facebook ads or pay-per-click advertising. And SEO is how you do it in the long term. And when you need more leads, you turn on the pay-per-click or you turn on the Facebook ads.
All right. So let me ask the Craigslist thing. I just want to dive in a little bit deeper. I know you're getting less. They don't have the link. So most of the leads that are coming from Craigslist, because you got a lot of listings, so you're posting them, so they're either via phone call or email directly from Craigslist. Is that how you're getting the leads? Yeah,
and we've been testing a little bit of text me for information, and that seems to be working out. But we need to get a way to auto-generate those text codes so we don't have to manually do it, and we can auto-post them. So we're working on that solution, but it'll get better over time.
What about, are you doing anything with the 800 numbers to get the price and leaving the price out and capturing phone numbers, or are you testing that?
We use Arch Telecom called Capture. We've used it for a long time. We want to get a text service on top of that that's solid, so we'll find something that's great. Leads aren't really that big of a problem right now. Our team, if you took our business and you put it in a pie, half of the pie would be what I do for them, the internet leads, the listing leads, the leads for my signs and flyers, that sort of stuff, and the appointments I set for them. They don't get this piece of the pie until they do their piece of the pie. So when you join my team, the first thing you got to do is you got to work your database in your sphere. You got to be on stage, which is host open houses and network, and you got to cold call prospect people. And I expect people on my team to work their sphere, and they're either going to do open houses and prospecting or one or the other. But if you pick just open houses, that's 3 open houses a week. You pick just prospecting, it's 100 dials a day minimum. That's 500 a week. And now, once you're generating 1 to 2 deals a month from that, you get into my other piece of the pie, and this is the bread and butter. And then from there, you'll do another 1 or 2 deals a month as well. So now you're doing 2 to 4 deals in this pie. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that pie bigger and give you more leads so you can hire a showing agent. And you're really going to have a team within my team that I'm going to pay for you. But it's not all about, hey, what am I going to do for my team members? Because we're a team. What are you going to do to bring business to the team as well?
Awesome, awesome. Hey, I got one other question. I know that you have them prospecting. Are they using a dialer? Or are they just dialing just with a phone? How are they making those calls?
Yeah, we use mojosales.com.
Okay,
We've
cool.
loaded all the canceled expireds since 2007 in there. And we also get the FISBOs and the Zillow Make Me Move leads and that sort of stuff. But we also call just neighborhoods. And we'll just load 500 or 1,000 homes in a neighborhood and just call through the entire neighborhood and see if they know anybody's thinking about selling. If you want to be successful in real estate, figure out how to generate listings and let the listings on your site and on the signs and online generate the leads for you.
I would
That's
agree.
great. Here's a great question. And again, we have about 15 minutes left, everyone. I want to encourage you to use the Q&A app on here to ask a question. So either leave it in the comments, which I can see them, or actually use the Q&A app and we can get a question here to Ben. But here's always a great question, Ben. I love to know how many times you've been asked this. But what would you do differently if you started over?
Every good business that I have and every dollar that I make comes from a great hiring decision. And I wish I would have learned how to hire people better, faster, and sooner, and identify talent and better identify victims and people that weren't going to be successful. Because every bit of pain and misery and loss of money in my life came from a bad hire. So if you really wanted to build a big business, I would figure out what talent looks like and how to hire them, and then also how to retain them. You don't want to bring people on your team and then they grow out from you and then they go quit and start their own team. There's a way to keep them, and the way to keep them is to always find a way to accomplish their goals. And the only way that you do that is you have to ask them what their goals are and make sure that every year you're hitting it. Now, they're responsible for doing their piece of the pie. You got to say, hey, Jeff, what's your financial goals this year? What's your business goals? What's your personal goals? What's your relationship goals? What are your health goals, etc.? And keep them accountable to that. And at the end of the year, you celebrate, hey, you blew past your goals in these 3 categories. That's awesome. What do you want to do next year? And then do it again. And if you continue to do that, they're not going to leave you.
That's great. Where should someone go? I mean, if they're just starting off to find talent, what are the resources to go to learn how to do that?
There's a class that I take called Recruit Select, and it's an amazing class. It was taught by Gary, but it's open to agents to take it. I don't want to be like a Keller Williams promoter either, but I mean he's been my coach and my mentor, so that's some. There's lots of great books out there on how to hire talent, identify talent, and retain it. And if you could study anything from here going forward, is you guys need to start studying leadership, because that's why people join you and that's why they stay with you. And if you can think more about helping other people become successful or rich instead of yourself, all your money in life will come to you.
Great. Ben, Ron Wood asks the old do not call question. How do you handle the do not call list issue when starting prospecting or making 100 calls a day?
Well, I don't worry about the do not call list for canceled expireds, FISBOs, internet leads, sign calls, because I believe they've established a relationship that allows us to call. But what I do, I just said do. What I do is Mojo scrubs do not calls from the neighborhood prospecting list for me. So I'll say, hey, I just listed 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street. I need 500 to 1,000 homes around there, and they'll pull me up all the ones that are not on the DNC.
And then Ron, too, for what it's worth, I think as of last October, you can't call a wireless number on a predictive dialer. So you also want to scrub out the wireless ones, then call the wireless ones on a real landline. So that's a new law, I think I heard.
Interesting.
Hey, I got one here, Ben. Somebody also asked, how do you learn to communicate better with the scripts and follow those and just communicate better and get better on the phone? And would you recommend any seminars, webinars, books, that kind of stuff?
Who was the guy that won all the gold medals in the Olympics for swimming?
Phelps.
The guy that hit the bong.
Yeah, the bong guy.
And that's how you remember him.
Phelps.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I thought of, too.
I mean,
Horrible, isn't it?
What do you say? He spends 5 hours a day in the pool?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you get good at it.
10,000 calories a day.
Yeah, right? Are you practicing 30 minutes a day? When you're driving in your car, you listen to them to on your CD player. Do you have them in your ears when you're working out? You just got to have more time doing it and more time practicing it. That's the only way to get better.
How do you distribute, Jesus asks, how do you distribute leads to your team?
Unfairly. We believe in an unequal process where I think leaders get results and the exceptional deserve exceptions. So if you're doing a lot of business on the team, I should give you more leads because you're going to convert more of them and do more. If you aren't doing any business on the team, why should I give you leads? Because you suck. So it's not a fair distribution at all. But it doesn't normally go over 25 to 30 leads a month unless you have showing agents in your organization already.
Do you do coaching?
No, because I have my own job to do, and coaching's a job. What I like to do is train and do these webinars and share stuff and record it for people, but no, it's not my style.
Don asks, are all deals and listings and sales put in your name, or are they put in the buyer or listing agent's name?
All buyer deals are put in the buyer's agent's name, but they usually / my name, and the reason they / my name on the contracts is if I have to get involved with the escrow company or legal or attorneys, I need to be a part of the transaction. All listings are co-listed with me. I'm always second on the listing because I don't like I don't want to get all the calls for the listing when I don't know as much about it as my primary listing agent. So I want those calls to go for them or to go one of our staff members. But we try to get them closed. And the funny thing with that is, you know, you can come in here and look at my tax returns and see how much money we make and how many deals we do. But our competitors always pull the primary listing agent on the MLS, and they pull the primary buyer's agent and say, no, Ben doesn't really sell that many homes. But it's honest. I mean, we're at my company, we're an open book company, so that's 585 close.
Great.
Awesome.
John Mulesty, good client of ours. I'm hiring. Hi, John. I'm hiring my first inside sales agent. How many transactions do you want them to be responsible for on a monthly basis?
I know John too, so hi John as well. What I look for an inside sales agent is within their first 30 days of being on the organization, they need to be getting at least one appointment a day. By month 2, they need to be averaging 2 appointments a day. And then after that, they need to excel. And a good one, we just hired a brand new guy, and he's getting probably 3 to 5 in a day in his first month. So don't settle for mediocre because you've never seen what amazing is. Make sure the people that you have are generating appointments. My good buddy Tim Heil in Austin, he also has his ISAs generating nurtures. So don't just worry about appointments. If you're cold calling people or doing that stuff, how many nurtures, how many warm leads or people that you can have a relationship with can you put into your CRM to communicate with later? So we count nurtures as well as appointments from our ISAs.
That's great. Okay. Any other questions? We're just drilling the questions here. If anyone wants to write something up, feel free to ask Ben. Got about 8 minutes left.
All right. Hey. Ben. So I want to go back to the do's and don'ts. So what is, what would you recommend if somebody is just starting out, what they definitely should do and what they should not do?
Don't spend money on things that sellers want or that agents in your market are doing that you can't track the results from. Run a solid lean budget. You want to make sure that you're bringing home a lot of money from every transaction. You aren't spending it on ego advertising or wasted marketing. And that almost killed me when I first got started. I copied all the agents in my market, and they were successful, but they were successful in spite of what they were doing and in spite of what they were spending their money on. So I just copied a whole bunch of unsuccessful stuff, and it killed me. So watch your budgets. I think find a way to love your people and retain them and be a part of them and show your high producers extra time. You want to fight to retain the highest producers and let the other people earn the right in your life. And what I do is I just think about life as finite resources. I have a fixed amount of money, I have a fixed amount of time, I have a fixed amount of energy, happiness, all that sort of stuff. And I waste it on an unmotivated buyer, I'm taking time away from a motivated buyer. I waste it on a sucky seller, I'm taking away from a motivated seller. I wasted on a sucky agent, I'm taking times away from my good agent. I wasted at work, I'm taking times away from the people that I love the most. And in finite resources, what you'll learn over time is there's a fixed amount of everything. And if you give time to one, you're taking time from another. You give money to one thing, you're taking money from another. You need to make sure that you know what to say yes to and what to say no to. I think Steve Jobs said it best. He says, innovation is saying no 1,000 times.
All right, so
Go ahead.
oh no, so basically make sure you're making smart choices and you're not wasting your time on unproductive things or unproductive people or a pain in the ass seller that's going to be demanding things that you know that won't sell the home, that kind of thing, or taking an overpriced listing because they wanted this. You got to be strong enough to say no.
Yeah, say no to print advertising. Say no to putting an ad in the magazine. You know it's not going to get a sale. I was reading the Bible the other night, and I found this quote, and it said, "Resolve to release anything not adding true value." So what I challenge you guys to do is to sit back and say, in my life, my personal life, in my business, in my financials, everything, can I resolve to release anything? Resolve to release anything that's not adding true value. And once you remove that stuff, you'll realize that you have more energy, more happiness, more time, more money, and you can replace it with awesome people or awesome products or awesome marketing. Your life will change.
Yeah,
How many?
so go ahead.
Well, a couple more questions. I mean, just to get them done, as much as we should probably go a lot more deeper on that subject.
Yeah.
How many websites do you have for lead generation? Dan Trapp asks.
You know, I have a bunch. I have a lot more than I should have. But what I do have is I have a couple IDX sites that really give me 80-90% of my buyer business, and I have some home valuation sites that give me a ton of my listing leads, and I have some city kind of specific stuff that help establish me as a leader in my market, as not just a real estate agent, but as a community resource for what's going on, what's going on in the news, or what the restaurants or what events are available, etc. And most people have too many things. You got to resolve to release anything not giving true value. So if you're paying for tools and they're not giving you business, just kill it.
Where can we hire a good ISA? Virtual, out of the country, in the office? How much do we pay an ISA, Leo asks.
Well, I would be careful hiring somebody outside of the area because you aren't going to be able to train them and monitor them. I do know that My Outdesk provides ISAs from the Philippines that speak good English, that do a good job. We have one ISA from the Philippines working with us, but you got to have the scripts and the follow-up and the systems for them as well. So you might want to start at home, and you might start with an intern or with a college student, and you just pay them some amount of money, $40 an appointment, or a salary and a percentage on every deal. Just come up with something that works with them and their budget. But when they're doing the results, you're going to make a ton of money from it. I'm happy to pay any ISA. In fact, I think every ISA on my team should be the highest paid person in my life because they're hammering, and they should be making six figures, 200,000, because they're the ones hammering and generating so much business for me.
Great. And Leo, if you have a chance, check out 1000callsaday.com. That's sales management for an overseas ISA. Okay, so the next one is going to be, what are your top 3 sources for listings right now? And is there anything you are adding in the future? John again asks. You're sitting in the Dallas airport, by the way, watching this.
Awesome.
Back from Austin.
Hey, John, my listing business is pretty simple. We call canceled expireds, and we call old ones, and we call new ones, and we do it every day. And that's always been my bread and butter, and it goes up and it goes down. As the market changed, we added farming, so we're farming an entire. It started as a neighborhood in Bellingham, but now we're up to a zip code. We're farming 22,000 homes, and we're doing a lot of Facebook ads and pay-per-click ads to generate home valuation leads. And of course, we're working our sphere, our past clients, and we're circle prospecting neighborhoods. And I know you asked for 3, but that's 5, and that's the bread and butter business to do 500 plus listings a year.
Nice.
Great. 2 minutes left. Any other questions?
Last call, chickens.
Yeah, last call.
Got the Q&A app up.
All right. Well, you know what? Hey, Ben, I want to really thank you for jumping on here. And I know that everyone probably got a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
I know I did. I've been writing down and taking notes and stuff like that, and I learned a lot today. And I really want to thank you for taking the time. And I know Ben did say that he would be willing to do a future episode or 2 down the road, and yeah, so we're going to take you up on that, and maybe we can go over, scripts, dialogues, prospecting, how to prospect them, what to say, something like that, because I know you're really good at that, and maybe we can do that in some other topics.
Yeah, man, Ben, you're a natural. You're a natural teacher.
Well, it took 10 years of saying it every day to know what to say right today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, and then I also want to let everyone else know that I know we got a lot of people asking, how do I get these notifications? If you did not get a personal email from me, invite, and you want to get invited and be part of our distribution list, you can go to keepingitreal.com, and that's keeping it with an ing, keepingitreal.com. On the right side, we have an opt-in form so you can get on the mailing list, and you're only going to be hit with invites to the.
Uh-oh. Did we
Oh,
lose Jeff?
we
Oh, we
lost.
lost Jeff in Hawaii. That's all right. I'll finish it up, guys. Keepingitreal.com. It's just a cool thing that we're doing every other Thursday for the rest of our lives as far as we're concerned. We have some guest. So email me if you like a guest that you know. We can bring them on. Ben, thank you so much, buddy. But we just
Sure.
want to make sure you get the updates because we use Google Plus and it's kind of sometimes buggy. So if you go to Keeping It Real, put your first name and email address in there. You'll make sure you get the email updates. But anything you want to say before we head out, Ben?
I would just say, guys, I would take the time to go back and listen to some of your past calls. I had some time and I listened to some of them, and it's just really great. You guys have gotten good people on here so far. I'm happy to come back. If you guys have additional questions, you can hit me up on Twitter. It's just twitter.com/Ben Kinney. Happy to answer any questions. And Frank, I hope I see you soon. And I'm sorry we lost our buddy. He's back on the surf. He's surfing.
It must be
Enjoying life.
surfing.
Yeah, right.
Everybody, thank you.